Hi, my name is Colt Leahy. I'm an anti-geoengineering activist and concerned student, and my concerns are regarding the weather and the changing climate conditions that are all too apparent on the planet. I'm sure that many people have noticed as well. In fact, it runs so deep that it's affecting the animals that are supposed to be hibernating in winter. It's affecting the seasons. It's causing everything to just change, going from one extreme to another. And I know I'm not the only one who's noticed these things. These are all blatant facts, and it, regardless of which direction you take it in, it's no longer just a theory that you read on the internet anymore. If it's happening in your day-to-day life and you see it happening all the time, somehow there must be a line that's drawn between what we read in the virtual world and what is an everyday occurrence. Another example of that would be like a global pandemic, something that we read about, something that is a theory on the internet, but then it becomes a reality all the same. So there needs to be a line drawn between what we read on the internet that we think is just information, baseless perhaps, maybe it's just fiction, and then what is actually conceivable reality. In other words, what I'm trying to say is that not everything that we read on the internet is false. A lot of what we read can actually hold truth. In fact, a lot of fiction that we partake in, movies, video games, stories, a lot of truth can be found in those as well. They're labeled fictitious, they're labeled science fiction or whatever form of fantasy or non truth it's categorized as. It still has elements of truth in it, regardless. The same holds true for the weather. That you can write as many volumes about the climate as you wish, but we can see what's happening with our own eyes. You don't need to read a book. So that's what it all comes down to. When I say that there's concerns about the weather, it's a valid concern because it's something that we can plainly, evidently see with our own two eyes. But I didn't come here to talk about the underlying causes of the climate. And I know what some people are thinking, oh, here we go again, another geoengineering video about weather modification. And I know that to some I seem very fanatical on that topic. But I could say the same thing about people who are fanatical about this virus. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing either. That's actually great that you take it seriously, that you feel that you need to wash your hands, isolate, and follow all the procedures, because that's exactly what we should be doing during an emergency scenario such as this one. But my question to those same people who are so fanatical and concerned about this virus, why aren't you as equally concerned and disturbed by the weather? Because to me, that is where it all comes down to. The reason why I always talk about geoengineering, why I seem like I am a fanatic about this. It's not because I enjoy it or because I even want to. I mean, if I did, I'd be making videos like this all the time, but I don't. I only make them once in a blue moon. Why? I don't really like giving people unpleasant information. I don't. It doesn't bring me joy. I don't like talking about negative stuff either. Like, I get it, okay? I know what it seems like I'm the type of person that's out to sell something to people, but I'm really not. I don't work for anyone. I'm not like being told to give people information because someone else is paying me. That's absurd. I mean, part of the reason why I'm back in school is because I am kind of dead ass broke. Like, not gonna lie, if it weren't for some of the services that were provided to me, I probably wouldn't have been able to have gotten back in school at all because I didn't have the money for it. Like, no one's paying me to do anything. Times are tough where I live, but I mean, it's the whole world's like this at this point. And I'm not just talking about the pandemic either. It's just interesting to me that it actually takes an emergency situation in order for people to actually acknowledge that there is one. To give you an example, maybe a month or so ago, I ended up having a really bad anxiety attack. And I called 911 because I really thought that I was about to take a heart attack. I told the operator that I was stressed out from work, I was stressed out from school. I feel like life is becoming more chaotic and insane. And then after a while I told her, like, I think if I was taken a heart attack, I'd be dead by now, so don't send an ambulance. And she was like, are you sure? Because I can send an ambulance. Like, no. I think I was just having, like, a really, really bad day. We all are entitled to those, right? I think March in general is just one really big bad day. I'm sure some of you feel me on that. Anyways, I'm not trying to make excuses for why I haven't been around. The truth is that I've been having such a good time lately. Like I'm good. I have really nice people that I'm friends with that really always bring me up. And whenever I feel like I'm having a bad day or I feel like I'm in a low mood, they're always there to pick me up. But lately, even having them around hasn't been able to prevent, me from acknowledging the deeper state of existence that we have now all found ourselves in, like entrenched in. I was looking for a word for it. Entrenched, immersed, whatever you want to call it. We are all in the same boat now. If we didn't think that we were before, this pandemic has served as a way for people to acknowledge that we are in an emergency situation, but we have been for many years, as I've discussed over a course of 6 years on my YouTube channel, online on social media. I sent emails to the government of Nova Scotia. I sent it to the CBRM. I spoke with people that were in the other Atlantic provinces. I didn't get any responses from the federal government. I didn't get any responses from the CBRM or from Steve McNeil or anything. I didn't expect to either. But I did get replies. There were people who said, I've never seen this before, but now that you brought it to my attention, I'm going to look more deeply into this. And then they replied again and said, I did more research and it seems to me that what you're saying is mostly confirmed, that there is active weather modification efforts going on. That was my main concern over the course of 6 years. Then 2020 happens, and then this pandemic happens, and the whole world's in a state of emergency. And what does it all come down to? A virus. Now, I'm not saying don't be concerned about the virus. Obviously, that's impossible at this point. But what I am trying to get my point across is that the virus is not really as deadly as they're making it out to be. It's highly contagious, and it's killed a lot of people in Italy so far. 734 was the last I read about that. That's besides the point. Those numbers are going to keep going up. And I'm sure we already know that. But it's the quantity in total. Like if you think of the totality of the population, like we're millions and millions of people. It's not really like a deadly virus unless you were seeing thousands and thousands of people die. I'm just trying to give you a realistic scope of the situation. It's bad. Any casualty is terrible. It's a loss, regardless of which way you look at it. But I'm saying that people shouldn't live their lives in fear. And this is coming from me, of all people. Don't live your life being afraid of something that the media is There's always disaster capitalists that capitalize from disasters, and they, in fact, sometimes even orchestrate the disaster just to make it's like a get-rich-quick scheme for those already at the top, even though they're already rich. It's like, why do they feel it's so necessary? But that's what power does. It makes people want more and more control. And control is a deadly disease in and of itself, and it's also an illusion. The only one who has ever been in control the entire time we've been alive on this earth is nature itself. Not the government, not even God, as some would say. I mean, perhaps after we are judged, or if he exists, I'm saying, then maybe when it comes to his government. But while we are a part of the earth, while we're alive, we are being governed by nature's laws, natural law. We are a part of that while we are of physical form and physical limitation. We have to abide by nature's rules. That's all I'm saying. That's the only one who's really in control right now over anything that's going on over the world. it's nature. And people who think that it's people, or those people who think that they are the people that are actually in charge or running things, are really foolish, and their buffoonery befalls them, as does their crumbling empire and their foolish ways, their monopoly game, if you want to call it that. It's just completely being rendered undone by nature itself. For me, nature is like my god, I guess. Everybody has their own god or their own belief system, right? But for me, I just see myself as part of the planet, part of the earth. I Perhaps there is a spirit. I'm not ruling it out as a possibility, but I don't just believe what people want me to believe just because their parents told them it's right, or because they live their life from a fear-based point of view, which is exactly my point. I'll never live from that fear-based perspective. So if I believe something, I must believe it with my heart and soul, my true convictions. Otherwise, it doesn't seem genuine to me. It doesn't seem sincere. I see only hypocrisy in people who profess to be religious, but they couldn't give less of a shit about anyone else save their own ass, basically. And that's hypocrisy. There's a much better message that was being delivered through those stories that they profess to believe in. I know that there is because I read it myself. That was one of the things that turned me away from the belief systems. By reading the book, I was just like, this is what makes me question it, right? This is where I am questioning it, by actually sitting down and examining it. But not a lot of people do that these days. Not a lot of people read or investigate, and that's a problem. And if they live from a fear-based perspective, they just believe whatever the media or whatever their organized government or whoever tells them to believe. But it's within our own power what we really want to believe. Now, when it comes to geoengineering, that's more than just a belief, okay? That's an issue of life or death. It's an emergency situation. It should have been one for many years. The fact that people think that we're in a crisis only now shows how far behind they really are, because this whole virus scare, this whole pandemic event, is very minute compared to the elephant of geoengineering, which I've tried to convey throughout my entire history of being on this social media platform with you. The reason why I tried to get my point across is because I know that it affects me just as much as it'll affect everybody, because it's completely infiltrated the natural systems of the planet. Picture the Earth's lungs, the respiratory system, like the Amazon. It breathes in. We see it in the seasons. The Earth will breathe in the CO2 emissions and then breathe them out. It breathes in, like throughout the months of spring, it's breathing it out, and then through the months of winter, it's breathing it in, like it sucks the CO2 in and out, like on a monthly cycle. They've mapped this. Scientists mapped that the Earth has a breathing system. But over the years, we see that the Earth's breathing has actually accelerated, almost like a person who's out of breath. Like we see the CO2 being sucked into the air earlier than when it's supposed to be by the trees. The trees don't know that it's not still winter, because, like I said, the weather is so confusing that it's causing nature itself to be bamboozled. That's the word that I can think of to describe it, bamboozled, because they don't know what's going on either. They're just as confused about the weather as most of us should be, unless you know what's actually going on. And once you see that it's a man-made system that's influencing these events, then you start to realize that someone's always behind the curtain, pulling the strings, making it all happen. It's orchestrated. Whether it's the pandemic, whether it's geoengineering, someone is always behind these events. Just like 9/11, like it's all the same. It always comes down to that same system of control, that presence that infiltrates the whole planet. It covers the whole scope. They are everywhere. Like these people, they have full control over what they perceive to be their society. But they don't have control over nature, like I mentioned, which is why we're seeing nature come back again and again with something stronger, something deadlier, a more aggressive response to what's being done. And the data showing the Earth breathing out of sync, like a person that's out of breath, should be a big red flag. That alone should be the emergency scenario. But instead, we hear about the virus, right? Like the virus is the thing that we should be most afraid of, but it's not. The thing that we should be most afraid of, as I've always said, is geoengineering and the man made effort to mitigate global warming through the means of influencing and infiltrating the Earth's climate and natural systems. That's my definition of it. You can modify it any other way. It all comes down to modification, no matter which way you define it. Anyways, that's a big reason why I haven't been making videos in a while, because, like I said, this is all very unpleasant information. But given the fact that we're all quarantined, I figured I might as well sit down and have a little discussion with you about this topic and go into further detail. I'm not saying don't be concerned about the virus. I'm just saying that if you really want to be afraid of something, you should be afraid of the weather. You should be afraid of what they're doing with the weather, because that's what really concerns me. To know that these toxic particles are raining down on us from the sky, and we're breathing it in. That's the true contagion, isn't it? That's the real pathogen that they don't want anybody to know about. So, I've stayed quiet, and I've waited, hoping that more people would come forward, whistleblowers, truly courageous men and women that would, speak up and sound the alarm on what's happening with this geoengineering business. But a lot of people are afraid, and I can completely understand why some people don't talk. Me, I ended up winning the luck of the draw when I met these great friends of mine that truly loved me for everything that I am. But sometimes I do take it for granted, and I don't show the proper gratitude. And I'm sorry for anyone that I ever hurt over the years. I really never meant you any harm. My intentions were always positive. It's just bad shit happens. I've been through a lot of shit in my life too. My personal life is just as much of a mess as the rest of everything else that's going on in the world. But anyways, the point that I'm trying to get across is that I never gave up, whether it was at school, my job, or this. I keep doing it because I believe it's the right thing to do. I have the energy for it because I find the strength, and I muster it, and I find it inside me, and I bring it out. I think of everything that inspires me. I think of all the people that inspired me throughout the years. V for Vendetta, there's a good movie that I would recommend anybody should watch. You want to see a manufactured virus? You want to see freedom fighters that say enough is enough, and we don't accept this world that you've created for us? You should watch that movie, because that movie could change a society if everybody all watched it at once. That was always my dream. Like, before I even got involved in geoengineering, my dream was to have so many people stand up against this corrupt system that's taken over our lives and is running everything into the ground. A man can only dream. But that's the thing I love most about the message portrayed in that movie, that it's not the man who... It might be the man who falls, but the idea lives on. The idea is bulletproof. So that is my corrupted ideal, is that I wish that the world could be a much better place. But I know that it starts with us. It starts by us looking within ourselves and working toward it. I try to do that every single day. I try to make sacrifices and know that they must count for something else. Lately I've just been kind of just feeling things out, trying to get my life back together, get things back in order. It's a tough process. You'll have to bear with me sometimes. I know I can sometimes be difficult to deal with. But at least I'm back, and I'll probably be making more videos in the future, assuming there is one with everything that's been going on lately. I think I will try to get in contact again with other governments and other, not just in this country. Maybe I'll try everywhere I possibly can, other countries. Look up a way to contact their federal governments. Must be a way. Get in touch with the military, talk to them. All of us are needed, though. We all need to make an effort to discuss geoengineering with our friends and family, especially now that we have the chance to do so, since we're all quarantined anyway. It's not the virus that really I'm concerned about. It's more what they've been doing to the climate that I think is a really valid concern. I'm sorry that I've been very selfish and stuck in my ways, like by not always addressing this issue and taking it seriously as I should. I just was very stuck on the feeling of being happy, and I was gratified, like self-gratification. It was a good time. But obviously I'm not completely happy if I'm still here. I feel not fulfilled. I won't ever really feel fulfilled until geoengineering is stopped. Because as long as it's going on, I don't really feel true peace. None of us should. I need everybody's help. I can't do it by myself, unfortunately. I need everyone's help to expose this issue, discuss geoengineering and what's happening, try to get in touch with the military and let them know that weather modification is real, and that you are aware that the government is putting pathogens in the sky, heavy metal particulates like aluminum, barium, and strontium. Only together can we make a collective difference and make a change in the positive direction. Otherwise, I shouldn't need to explain to you. My other videos already covered what happens. It's a scary outcome. Anyways, I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I'm probably just going to relax for the rest of today. Probably smoke weed, because that's, what else am I going to do? It protects against pathogens like the geoengineering stuff and the virus, because it's a natural medicine. We need to be using nature as a synergy, because we live with nature. It should work for us, not against us. I'm going to sit here, I'm going to get high, I'm going to listen to good music, I'm going to talk to my good friends, but I just want you to at least think about what I said. I'm going to get back on this horse. I know that I fell off of it, but I am. I know that I've been playing a lot of video games. I know that, I act like I have like an addictive personality, but we kind of are. That's the way we are as people. We get addicted to things. We get addicted to people too. People make us feel elevated, like, falling in love and all that good stuff. A person like me doesn't find love very often, so when it did happen, it kind of dropped everything and I turned away. No, I won't let that happen again. I won't. Someone loved me for who I really was before, so I believe I can do it. If it's possible once, it can happen again. But I won't be truly happy until geoengineering is stopped. I just wanted to let you know why I haven't made videos in a while. I've been really distracted by certain people that I really, really like. But yeah, anyways, as I was saying, with the weather and with this virus, it's hard for us to really go out much with the social distancing. You should use hot soap and water. That's the best deterrent. Sanitizer doesn't really live up to its name. It doesn't kill that many germs at all. I'm just being honest with you. If you really want to be effective, use hot soap, use hot water. Try to avoid touching people. I mean, I know just as much as anyone how you, like, the desire for intimacy, craving. But if I had someone that I was in a relationship with right now, I probably wouldn't want to risk exposure at all. But who knows? It's not for me to say. It's not for me to decide. Just make sure that, properly take care of your health. Take care of your friends and family. Love people and don't take them for granted. I'll be seeing you again soon. I'll go into more detail next time. I just wanted to give an update, tell you why I haven't been around. I'll be back. You'll be seeing more of me soon because as the weather continues to unfold and as more information comes in, I'm probably going to have a lot more to say. I'm going to leave some information articles in this video link just so you can do a bit of investigation for yourself. Take a look. See how the U.S. government intelligence knew that there would be a potential pandemic months in advance. I'll show you the information on that. We should all really question the nature of this whole virus and this whole quarantine situation. I think that we should all do some serious questioning and start to consider. Maybe the government doesn't have my best interests at heart. Maybe the government really is doing something really shady behind the scenes. I think it's pretty obvious to most of us that they are. It's up to us to expose them. Only as one society, as one consciousness, as one individual, when we work on ourselves, when we turn the light on inside ourselves, we inspire others to do the same in turn. You could light thousands of candles through a single candle flame. It all depends on how you choose to burn brightly. It's all on us. It's all up to us to decide whether we want to expose this issue and make it more known, or if instead we turn away, run away from the issue, pretend like it doesn't exist. In time, it will make itself known, whether we want it to or not. My name is Colton Leahy. I'll be seeing you again soon. Thank you for watching. Sorry that it ended up being lengthier than what I intended, but I had a lot on my mind. I'll see you again soon.